Hey, greetings, great agent. Steve Schlueter with Never Ending Referrals, and welcome back to our video series, Winterizing Your Business for Success. And so this is video 6 of 6. We're going to put a bow tie on everything we've kind of learned. We're going to recap some of the fundamentals. I'm going to take you through the consulting guide, A to Z, just a quick overview, and then tell you how to get more resources in that regard, should you desire. And yet let's go back right now to the core fundamentals of understanding that right now in this time and place, as we're in this market today, we have to show up differently. We have to be absolutely that trusted guide. And because the confusion of the consumer is only going to get more intense as we get into political season. All the finger pointing, inflation, interest rates, problems, those are the things that are going to get highlighted in the media, and somebody's going to have to be the unconfuser, the deconfuser for our local real estate markets to help people move forward and make educated decisions, not ones based on fear through a bunch of media noise and hype. So let's go back to some fundamentals, and let's start here. I'm going to take us right back to the trust triangle. And remember that what we're doing right now is we're building a foundation. And of course, we're talking about a business. We're building a business of attraction instead of the chasing. Doesn't mean we don't lead generate actively for new people for our database. We should do that. We should grow our business. And yet, how do we optimize the relationships we have? And we do it by right now being that trusted guide, the person that people can rely on. And we do that by having a strategy that is such that we really develop that trust. And we said the 3 points on the trust triangle are logic. They know your reasoning and judgment are sound. So if in our conversations, in our email, in our marketing, what are we communicating to help people understand the opportunities of the market right now? And we're going to talk about that in a moment. That's our messages, right? And then the empathy piece is, remember, it's service first, sales second. It's understanding what they need, putting yourself in people's shoes, being a guide to help them get what they want, not what you want. You help enough other people get what they want, you're going to get everything you want. Zig Ziglar said that. And by the way, authenticity. You do all this in a way that's authentically you. They know they're dealing with a genuine, real person that hits all these points. And that's where trust comes. And I want to go remind us that, what Gary said. He said it's the agent with the right messages that match the market today that's going to win the market. And combine that with the right mofer to make that offer so we can get to kitchen tables. We can get people in the office. We can have conversations that move people forward. Now, let's touch on some of the messages we've already kind of identified that we can build in some of our markets. And again, some of your markets, real tight inventory, and yet seasonality is probably going to come into play this year in many of our markets that are of that nature. And you'll get a bump in some of these opportunities we're going to describe. And so look at the examples here. Buyers get breathing room. That was demonstrated in my markets by the list to sales price ratio, that there's room to negotiate. And yet we're in one of the fastest growing regions of the country. So what's the impact of in-migration or out-migration, in your city and state? And how's that impacting your market? Negotiation, the concession opportunities. First-time buyers, less competition in some of our markets, more choices. And we had all those conversations in our previous videos. Overall, there's a chronic housing shortage that as soon as the market heats up again, is going to reveal itself even further, especially as the millennial generation is going into their home buying years. And that's not going to get solved anytime soon. So this gap of if you've got inventory in your market or seasonally in your market, it is a window of opportunity. The future of interest rates. We dealt with that in video number 3, I believe it was. And we really discussed that the trends are, the inflationary pressures are such that we're probably in an elevated interest rate situation for a while. And that's not a bad thing. It just is. And yet if we've got concessions, we talked about we can make an offer or put a message out there. Did you know you could still get a mortgage, a 30-year mortgage, fixed rate in the low sixes. And how would that be possible? Well, we talked about that. It's going to be maybe up to a 6% seller contribution. What are the loan products that you have available in your market that would allow that, such as an FHA? And these are areas to explore. And then, of course, we wrapped up with the safe zone in our last video and how timing the market, well, it just doesn't work. And then on the MOFR, it's really, I think this is the core MOFR, that we keep putting messages out there via the various medians. And the MOFR is, if you've got any plans to do anything in real estate or have been pondering it all in the next 12 to 24 months, call me today, discuss the unique opportunities in our market right now. And we can schedule a no obligation strategy session to see what's right for you. And so we put our message out there, and this is where we win the market. We have to be more consistent than all the noise in the media. We've got to be hyper local. We've got to put the hyper local focus on our market of right now through our messages and through our offers. So let's dive into the consulting guide. Now, here's the thing that I want to share with you on this is, why do I want to take people through, a lesson in economics and inflation and, trends and all this? Well, because here's the thing. Many of you are just so skilled at handling objections. You could get somebody at least take the next step and move forward by overcoming, it's saying, what's the whole thing today is marry the house, date the rate, and you could get in the whole conversation, always refinance later. And yet, if they're not really educated on trends and understanding why things are the way they are, they're just going to be one bad news story or one political promise away from going, I think I'm going to wait. And that may or may not be a good thing for them. And if they make it in reaction to external stimulus that does nothing to do with what's going on local, they could get hurt. And so I think it's worth it today to take time to really educate people. And so let's go through and take a look at the consulting guide. So, and what I'll do is I'll tell you how you can get this resource as a download, and how we can kind of help you along this journey with this and other tools. And so here's the one for San Antonio. We'll go through the San Antonio guide. And as I sit down with somebody at the kitchen table, they've come to the office, I'm going to start with their needs analysis, what they're wanting to accomplish. And this is particularly important with buyers, but yet sellers as well. A potential seller wants to understand what the opportunity is on the other side of having their home sold as well. That's part of what has people locked up, right? So I go into the consulting guide, and we first start with the interest rate conversation. And we went through this, obviously, I believe it was in video number 3. Got to update this a little bit because we've eked past 7.2%. We update it once a month. And so we've already, what that conversation is. So it's one of the first ones we'll get into. Then we get into inflation, because as we talked about in our interest rate video, inflation is the core of what's driving interest rates. And, that being the case, we want to make sure that they understand that inflation is likely to be very sticky, and why. And we get into some demographics conversations. And by the way, should you access some of these resources, we've got some video tutorials on how to present this. In San Antonio, I'm going to have the supply and demand conversation. We're going to talk about in-migration. In fact, when we look at census data that's saying that people are moving to San Antonio, fastest growing city by numeric population growth in the country, 2021 census data. And we have an overall shortage of housing, and demand high, supply challenged. As soon as the market heats up again, we're likely in, a very tight inventory environment. How did San Antonio respond to a recession previously when we had the Great Recession? Very minor drop, only 4%. Where 2006 to 2008, nationally the drop was 19%. Of course, it continued beyond that. And then we went through 3 times the choices. They've got more choices today. And we addressed that we've hit our price peak. We hit our dip, our trough at 304.5. We're on the mend. We are gaining value again consistently. And we have choices today. We've got 3.9 month supply versus we had been as low as 1.1 month supply. And of course, you see what happens when supply gets low. That's when peak prices follow, when we've had very, very tight demand. So we could be in that environment again. This is a really good time where we've got almost four times the choices that we had during the pandemic. We've already addressed this when we talked about, are we overvalued, and how San Antonio is likely to move towards the national median price over time because it's become such a destination place that people are moving to here in Central Texas. And then, of course, we had the safe zone conversation in our last video. And then we come through and ultimately we sum it up with, a summary of everything that we had covered with the consumer. And so that's the consumer guide. And, it's really taking maybe 20 minutes to educate them and help them understand what they're diving into with regard to interest rates or supply or the way the market has moved, and taking that time to educate them. Building an absolute who isn't going to get scared at the first sign of some weird political wins or some clickbait articles that cause people to maybe get into fear. So let me switch gears here for a second. I want to go back to our other slide deck to wrap up this video. And let me see if we can get that in front of us. So again, we continue to focus on what are those messages. In fact, one of the things in Never Ending Referrals that we do is the first week of every quarter or the last week of a quarter, right in there, we do a market update with market of the moment conversations. What are the dialogues right now? What are those possible messages that are going to connect, particularly when we start what we call our DTD2 cycle over again? So some of the things that we'd like to offer to you is the opportunity to continue this, because, go back to that word crisis in Chinese, right? And we said that it has two meanings. The left symbol is danger. The right symbol is opportunity. And when we think about right now, the danger is if I'm not equipped with what to say, the right strategy, the right messages, I'm going to miss the opportunity of this market. On the opportunity side, I get to become this tremendous resource for people. I get to go develop a foundation of trust that's earned through empathy, through logic of being that person that informs, going back to that basic care call and asking the question, what have you heard about the market? Don't forget that question. That's going to open up that opportunity, as we said earlier, to either validate that they have a good understanding and then elaborate on what they said and give them the evidence that validates that, so they know that you're not just agreeing, and then, or the opportunity to educate. Maybe they think that interest rates are going to come down because it's election, year ahead. And of course, yet we have to be able to make the case, or at least give enough message to set up a strategy session so we can sit down and educate them on the opportunities of the market. So let me share with you a couple of resources that'll help you along here. And we'd like to be a continued resource for you as you navigate right now. And I'd like to invite you to join our Never Ending Referrals community. And actually the first 3 Mondays a month, we're live and we take you through the 8 lessons of Never Ending Referrals, one a week, over the course of a quarter. And of course, as I mentioned, we have market of the moment updates where we take you through what are the database right now, provide resources like the consulting guide to the people that are part of our community. So in our online portal, those resources are accessible. And so it's $39 a month to be a part of our Never Ending Referrals community. If you'd like to join us on that journey, you can go to neverendingreferrals.com and click to register there. It's a 5-month minimum commitment. We have people in with us like 3 years because they love the value they get with the ongoing contribution of market of the moment conversations, tools, resources to help us really go develop that position. We meet Mondays at 12 Central. And then one other resource that I'll share with you, and then I'll put up a slide with the QR code in a moment for this, is my book, Rescue Dogs in Real Estate. if you've been very transactional in the nature of your business and you really, I'd like to pivot to a relationship-based business as the core, doesn't mean I don't stop prospecting. And read this book. It's a business fable that walks you through an agent's journey from transactional to relational. I can say that word. And what an impact it can have on your life and business when you do that. And we get out of just chasing business and we get into the business of attracting business. And we do it by becoming that trusted advisor. So I'm going to put on the screen a QR code where you can access that. And it's right there. And there's a few reviews for you that you'll find on Amazon when you go to get the book. Again, it's Rescue Dogs in Real Estate. Thank you for being with me on this journey to winterizing your business. And by the way, if you get the book, just email me info@neverendingreferrals.com, and I'll send you the guide, the resource guide, the consulting guide as a thank you for getting the book. And of course, the best honor we could ever get would be a 5-star review. So we would appreciate that as well. Thank you so much. Winterize your business. The time is right now. And it starts with just some simple care calls, and then follow the trust triangle. Everything you need to know philosophically is right there. We'll help you with the tactics and strategies. Just join us on the journey. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.